Football with friends. It's fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap. Oh man, here with Cody Carpentier. We're so pumped up to be here today. A big day. First day of Texas football fall camp. Cody, we finally made it back, brother. Fall camp is here.
Dude, we made it back, and it sounded like it was hot out there. You got some traffic on the way back. Let me guess, the grass is cut clean. Got a lot of notes about guys playing on the third and fourth team that we didn't quite expect. But hey, it's day one. We're here. We made it through, the longest part of everybody's life, which is the season of no football. And that's all I can say is football's here. I mean, no real way to explain it.
Yeah, man. So super pumped up to be here. A ton to get to. First, thanks to everybody here watching the show, hanging out in the chat. We certainly appreciate you guys. If you can remember to like the show, subscribe to the channel, we certainly would appreciate that. If you have questions, you can hit us in the chat. You can also hit us with super chats. We always appreciate that. Those will go towards the top of the list. With that being said, Cody, man, we got a bunch. It looks like we got a super chat right off the bat. So let's see. Let's hit this. Money B, $10 super chat. Appreciate the hard work here for the Kool-Aid. All right, Money B, let's start dishing out the Kool-Aid. Cody, how do you want to go over this? There's a lot of takeaways from today. Is there is there anything that stood out to you? Because to let the people know, so basically what happened was we actually got today, and I can't believe I'm saying it, but thank you to Thomas Stepp. I'll always say thank you to Thomas Stepp, but thank you to John Bianco for giving us an actual maybe Texas is in the SEC. Maybe they're going to give us SEC practice availabilities. That would be really, really cool for us to get the same practice availabilities as other schools. But today it was incredible access. It's the most by far since Sarkisian's been here. And so, most of the notes that I was able to get, I'm so used to having to kind of, dig for stuff and read between the lines about what might be happening. There is a little bit of reading between the lines today about what's happening because I think the coaching staff did kind of try to hide some stuff from the media, but just a whole lot more time to really sit, watch these dudes, get an idea for who's who, what's what, how the new guys look, anything and so what happened was the practice lasted longer than I had thought, and we didn't get out till like 4:20 or something Central Time. And I look at my clock on my your Waze or whatever. It says you're not gonna be home for an hour. I was like, dude, well, I'm not gonna be able to get home and type up my notes and then get on the show by 6. And I know that, of course, like the content has to go on Orange Bloods, the site, before it goes up on the YouTube. And so I called Cody, and I'm just here driving home on I-35, just reading, 71, just reading Cody the notes. And Cody was nice enough to get those posted for us over on Orange Bloods. Before we get started, another quick thing. We have a big sale at Orange Bloods right now. 60-day free trial. You can join for 60 days for free. This is the way that I joined back in 2003 before I even worked here. It was for Ryan Paralou's recruitment. Ketchum got me sucked in on one of these 60 days free. The good news is you get 60 days free. The good news is you're going to love Orange Bloods, and the good news is you're never going to quit. So, if you sign up, just know that you're never going to quit, but you're going to love it. So, 60 days free at Orange Bloods. Make sure and use that promo code. We're going to toss that up through the rest of the day. All right, Cody, what do you think the biggest takeaway was?
I from everything you told me, my biggest takeaway might not be the most common, the biggest like. I know everyone wants to talk about the wide receivers and most recently the defensive backs featuring Jaylon Guilbeau. But when you said to me, Cam Williams already looks like a high draft pick.
Yeah, he does.
I go straight to Amarius Mims in my head. You bring up DJ Fluker. DJ Fluker was, an all-time anomaly at the position as far as his build and kind of what he portrayed at Alabama back in 2012. But Amarius Mims is from Georgia last year, had one season starting, one singular season. He started 9 games for Georgia, I think the number was, and he obviously goes on to be a first-round pick. And you say, Cam Williams looks like a high draft pick, think DJ Fluker, and I go, deal. Like, that being plugged into this offense when you just had Christian Jones, who, for the majority of last year was a consistent, dependable piece, and he's been, of course, on the offensive line for a few years. But the idea that Cam Williams really has taken his weight serious, came in and is in shape on day one is massive for an offensive line that was already projected to be top 5 in the country.
Well, you just don't think when you lose 10% of your body weight, it does it it doesn't
That's a
seem
lot
like
for a big guy.
that much, man. But trust me, man. Like when like I've been in spots where I've lost 10% of my body weight. You go from 200 to 180. It's like it's actually a really big. It's a big difference. You know, it's like it brings your waist size down by like 4 inches. You know, it's like you have to get like new rings. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're married, you have to get like a new wedding ring and stuff there's a bunch of different like your body's affected in a whole lot of different ways. This dude lost almost 40 pounds. And you could just tell it on him. And I think Cody, in some way, I don't know why, but it makes his arms look longer. That's why I just kept thinking Fluker. You know, it's like it makes his wingspan look longer when he's tightened up. He's buttoned up through the middle a whole lot better. Cam's always been really good on his feet. He's always moved really well. But to see him at what I think is probably the peak, I mean, certainly the peak of what I've seen him physically, right? It's just it's something to behold. And, you know, like I said in the YouTube short we did earlier, the right side of that offensive line, DJ Campbell, Cam Williams, it's good. Like that's a murderers. That's a bunch of murderers to run behind, dog. Like that's very, very salty. I mean, we talk about, is Texas ready for the SEC? Do they have the guys? And I mean, we're going to talk more about these dudes. There's some large dudes out there, man. Now, along the interior of the defensive line, I have some brand new feelings about this.
Before you go defense, I want one question quick on this offensive line thing. You brought up DJ Campbell and Cam Williams in your short that you posted out there. That was a good point and an interesting one in that obviously everybody knows who Kelvin Banks is, and he's getting top 10 conversations in NFL draft circles. Would it be a hot take to say that right side of the offensive line might be better this year than
I think that do you know what I think that is? I think that's the DeCorian Moore or Khalil Lockett and Jamie French question. Which would you rather have? Because Kelvin Banks is the DeCorian Moore over there, but if you can have the two dudes that are both really good, you know, which one do you take? So I think it's kind of a chicken and egg type of deal. By the way, I've been gone all day. I wasn't sure if that. Gosh, man, it's been. I can't believe how much practice that we had. Anyway, can we talk about the thing with Jaylon Guilbeau?
Sure, why not? I mean, that was the biggest elephant in the room the last 24 hours. We talked about it yesterday's show. They talked about it. I feel like on every single show today on Orange Bloods. You go check out those shows after this one, but.
Like I said, I feel like I've been gone all day. Like I don't know what's been talked about today or anything like that.
Again, it's pretty much the same conversation of just like what's going to happen, where's the alignment going to be, and now you got the.
And they were saying the same kind of they got the same idea from Coach PK that we had last night on the show. They're like, dude, they're really talking. That's some effusive praise for Jaylon Guilbeau at the nickel, right? Yeah. Is that kind of okay? So that kind of happened. We told you last night. Okay, so this is an interesting thing. Let me just see if Cody was nice enough to get all this typed up on the site. So let me just go look.
Again, I can walk you through it too. Like you related to me. It's pretty much what you expected and kind of what you projected. But it was Jaylon Guilbeau starting at the nickel on the first team. Gavin Holmes, Manny Muhammad, Michael Taft, Derek Williams. That was the back five.
Yeah. Okay. And so first off, go Westlake Chaparrals, right? Michael Taft.
You were right. I'll bend the knee on that
one. We got somebody in the chat asking, I see him over on the side, how does Sydir look? We'll talk about him in a minute. Where's our football with friends thing? How do I get that thing back up here? What do I do? How do I do that? Is that in design? There we go. People have to know who they're watching. The Guilbeau, the effusive praise of him, right? And them's just saying that, you know, whenever PK was asked about his corner group, the first guy he mentions is Barron. Okay. And so whenever you get out there, though, you start thinking things are a little bit weird whenever, okay, the first group's Guilbeau, and we've kind of known it, but even the first group's Guilbeau, but Jahdae Barron's not at an outside corner in the pursuit drills. And what I must say is that if you're in these pursuit drills, anybody who's played football knows what a pursuit drill is, yeah. But for people who might not know what it is, it's basically this deal wherever the defense gets lined up, right? And a person simulating a running back runs like a sweep kind of action and runs up one of the sidelines, and you don't know which one. right? And so what you have to do is each defender has to decide their own pursuit angle and run to the sidelines where they think that the running back's going to be. And if you don't get there in front of the running back, then everybody's got to do up downs or push ups or whatever else, right? And so these things happen. These pursuit drills happen real quick, and to see what's happening there, it's a real mad scramble. But dude, it was not Jahdae Barron at one of the corners. It was Jaylon Guilbeau, and the corners were Manny Muhammad and Gavin Holmes, and the safeties were Michael Taff and Derek Williams. And then the second group comes out, and they've moved Jelani McDonald from safety into nickel, and they have Filsamy bumped up to the second group, and they also have Makuba. And the corners in that group were Kobe Black and Warren Roberson, I believe. Or was it Wardell Mack?
Warren Roberson.
Warren Roberson. Yep. And so now I'm thinking, what's going on? Is Barron not here today? Out rolls the third group. And this is like, we're talking like Tausili Akana at linebacker and Ty Anthony Smith at linebacker and dudes like this. And Jahdae Barron lined up at the nickel. And so I say, okay, one of the best nickels in the country lining up with the third group. What's going on here? Because if they're moving them outside the corner, why aren't they showing us? And throughout practice, it became clear to me because as we got into one-on-ones, guess what happened then? We had Jaylon Guilbeau lined up in one-on-ones on the tight ends and the slot receivers and all the nickel dudes, right? But then whenever you have the big dudes coming up and squaring up and walking up against one another for the outside cornerback drills, you got number 7 walking up on number 7, Jahdae Barron versus Isaiah Bond. The coaches are pumped up, outside corner one-on-one drills, and it's Jahdae. And so I don't know whether the staff was, because here's the thing. If they would have put him on outside corner in pursuit drills or in the team drill, because we got to see team drills today. They weren't in pads, but we saw team drills. If they were to do that, every media member would have picked up on it, put it out there, all the rest of it. What they did was they wanted, but they probably figured it's like, well, if we put him on the outside and DB one-on-ones, he doesn't work any at what his natural position is. Although they're not going to notice. They're just going to think it's DBs versus, but dude, to me, it's a big sign.
Dude, the Catch was just talking about this on the board in response to some people talking about Barron, and now Catch jumped in the chat and he brought up, I think, a very, very, very great point regarding the whole situation.
This one. Oh, sorry. You and I both clicked it at the same time.
Okay. So he said a good sign that Barron is playing on the outside, in my opinion. They didn't want to offend the outside guys who were there in the spring by having him ahead of them on day one. I think that's a great point. Like it's pretty much as basic as it can get. You don't want to switch this guy. Like Guilbeau has grown a lot since the spring to now, right? You want to put Guilbeau there. That's the end goal. But you also know you want to put the Barron on the outside, pushing Barron to the outside and just immediately sticking him ahead of Gavin Holmes, who, like you said, literally made the Shrine Bowl 1000 list, has had a great spring and summer his own right. Like immediately sticking him ahead of a guy like that would, I think, send a bad message or a negative message to everybody else. The interesting thing, though, was like the second team. Like, I think Catch is 100% on the nails, but what about that second team with Kobe Black? What about that second team with Warren Roberson? Like, he's got the age factor on both of those guys. I thought that was interesting that they just completely went straight to the third team. Or so I don't know why. Sorry, Jelani McDonald in the nickel. Sorry, my bad.
I think what they were saying. I think what that was going to show us, Cody, is I think if they do move Barron to the outside, they're saying, Jelani, we know you played safety all spring. And we're not taking you off the twos, but we're just going to move you into nickel here with the
go back to Jaylon Ford really quick. Remember Jaylon Ford at the combine?
What about him at the combine?
I just pulled this quote up right now. He was literally asked at the combine. He said, who's Texas? He said, Jelani.
I think I asked him. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And you said, is he playing nickel or linebacker? And like he responded, he's playing safety and nickel. So no linebacker, just he brought up though safety and nickel. And I just like had that recollection a minute ago when you brought it up and you were like kind of surprised us. And I know when we were talking earlier, it kind of surprised you, but maybe it shouldn't have.
Well, that's the thing about McDonald. Like he practiced some nickel before, but in this spring it felt like he had kind of solidified himself as the backup to Derek Williams' backup, right, at safety. And now if they are going to be moving Barron outside, and I think, dude, we can just say whatever what is that, something out, say it out loud. I forgot even what that saying is. We can just say the thing I guess you're not supposed to say. Ketchum knows this saying.
Say it.
I don't know the saying.
Say
The chat will let me know. The thing that I'm going to say is that I think Barron takes Gavin Holmes' job.
100%. I mean, also the other elephant in the room is that Javion Cole is on that third team too.
Yeah. Not much sticks out about Javion Cole, Cody. He's not very tall. He's not very long. I can't really tell how fast he is.
He's a Cal Poly kid, man. He's a Big Sky. I grew up watching Big Sky, man. I went to, Big Sky University, North Dakota. Like those guys are they're not built the same, but he was a stud there. So PK said yesterday, he's still got to get his feet wet. Like getting your feet wet, that's called playing third team.
Yeah. But I think that after we heard last night what Coach PK said, with when he was asked about Cole, he just said, "We're gonna have to see." You know what I mean? He said, "We're gonna have to see." He acted like he didn't even really know much about the guy yet.
Wait, when did he get here? He got here.
Well, I mean, he got here in the summer. Well, he said that we, the strength staff's. I think he said like the strength staff's happy with him. It's like, but hell if I know. He ain't got his hands on that guy yet.
Yeah.
So it's like it'll be interesting. Tomorrow they'll at least be in shoulder pads and helmets if it's anything like before. And then I'm hoping Friday we get full pads for that first night practice. Sometimes that's when we get the first full pads practice, is the first time that they practice at night. And so we'll be able to see these guys maybe cracking it a little bit and really moving around and running. But Cole was somebody who I'm kind of like PK. I still don't have a very good idea about him. I just know that he's running third team. We can go over the minutiae of everything, but the one other thing that I thought was big, and then we can hit on whatever you want to hit on, Cody, is the stuff with Matthew Golden.
Yeah.
So, okay. Matthew Golden was playing out of the slot today. And I will say this, during the open team drills that occurred during the 7th or 8th period of practice, there was one rep that I saw where he like motioned out to the outside, and it was like the set was him and DeAndre Moore both out there, and he kind of started out in this like staggered spot and motioned outside for one rep where he was in there instead of where he came in for I think he came in for Jonte. And I'm not sure if that was just like a substitution, something like that. But dude, the whole time during the practice, he was running out of the slot, catch after catch out of the slot. Any photos or videos you see of Matthew Golden today catching balls from the quarterbacks, he was running with the second team slot behind DeAndre Moore, slot for Matthew Golden. He's in the slot, and he's also, him and Bolden are going to be the two punt returners. But I don't know why that just came up, but those two guys are the punt returners. And dude, in Bolden, he's going to be a problem with a ball in his hands. But
before you get off of the slot, you were at the slot there with Moore and with Golden. We talked about Bond yesterday. I had 3 snaps during the spring game, and then last year, like we said, 48% in the slot. It's a big conversation earlier this spring. Was Bond at all right? Like today, day one. I know it's small sample. Was he at all in the slot today?
Bond?
Yeah.
Never once.
Okay.
Yeah, never once. Bond looks like the number 1 wide receiver. If the old alien test, right?
Yeah, you walk in, drop down. Nobody's ever been there before. Boom. Mm-hmm. Who's number 1?
Yeah, it looks like Bond.
Okay. I was wondering that. I wrote
here's the thing about the
players
alien
to look at this week or at practice this week was, who is wide receiver 1? And I was like, Wingo should be that guy. You drop down, you're the alien, you've never seen it before. Physically, it should be Wingo. but you're saying Bond
Well,
overtakingly, you can tell is the stud.
well, I guess the alien wouldn't know how to watch practice as well as you and I do. I mean, that's like we're like two of the best people in the. I don't mean to brag, but you and I, we grew up around football practices, and it's like we know how to watch practice. It's how I can get 10 pages of notes from the 30-minute window usually.
Yeah.
But like so I guess the alien wouldn't know how to watch practice. But to me, when I watch practice, if I'm the alien that knows how to watch practice, right? That when you see, Bolden is always the first one to run the drills. He's always the first one. His side goes first. He's the one that leads the receiving group whenever they do individual drills. Whenever they go to one-on-ones, the first one-on-one where people are slapping each other in the helmet. And this alien thing goes for Jade too at outside corner. That was number 7 versus number 7 coming up against one another and people getting hyped for it. You know what I'm saying? Like that was like, it was kind of like the, good on good, big dog versus big dog. So that's even more kind of the whole Jade Barron theory. And look, all this could be wrong. We're reacting to one day of practice. They could say like, guys, what were we doing? Was there a fever dream that we were having on the first day of practice where did we take Jade out of the nickel corner? Like, what are we doing that for? I mean, Jaylon Guilbeau has been good, but I mean, are we really going to take him out of nickel corner? He's really good at coming downhill and just killing him on those screens because he is.
That's maybe the one thing I maybe wouldn't say they're having a fever dream about would be that they've literally spoken it, and day one they went and did it, and they told you exactly what they're going to do, and they went and did it. That's like, I think that's the number one tell. Like that's one where I would believe it.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that everybody has to believe coming out of this day is that Texas Beef Traders is just by far the best beef that you'll ever have. I mean, here's the thing about Texas Beef Traders. It's right here in the heart of Lakeway. Whenever you go to Texas Beef Traders, it's like Cheers, man, where everybody knows your name. Go in there, go say hi to Darren, go say hi to Shay. Whenever you do, guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna offer you a beer. If you don't drink beer, they're gonna if you don't, they can give you some sangria, some wine. They have a whole winery tasting room attached there at Texas Beef Traders, or the sparkling water, whatever it is that you like. They're going to want to sit you down. They want to tell you about this beautiful beef that comes from Mason, Texas, the best that you've ever had. And whenever they tell you about it, they're going to tell you like no steroids, no injections, none of these, no cockamamie vaccines. They're starting to give them mRNA vaccines now. Like it's none of this stuff, right? It comes right from Mason, Texas every Thursday. And the beef is processed right there on site. Absolutely delicious. It's cheaper than the grocery store. And then you get 10% off by telling them that Orange Blood sent you. So go in there, go see the guys. I'm telling you, they're going to ask if you're hungry. Whatever they do, say yes. Because they're going to make you a burger. They're going to make you like a sausage wrap. They're going to cut you up a big ribeye steak, dip some chimichurri in it. It's just, Texas Beef Traders is just something else. And here's the best part. I want to tell you the best part. If you call them and you can't make it out to Lakeway, and you're in the Austin area, make the order, get your 10% off, tell them that we sent you. And Shay or Darren, they'll just bring it to you. Texas Beef Traders, right there in the heart of Lakeway, TexasBeefTraders.com. All right, let's get Cody back in here, and we will get the Texas Beef Traders out of my face.
Alex, I got one question, and this is I want to get your question. I want to get your answer on this, because when we go to these events, we've gone to the Senior Bowl. You've went obviously 10 more years than I have, but the Senior Bowl, the Combine, you're going to pro days. One of the first things that I like to do, I like to get in there, get my notepad out, make some notes. And my first notes are always the size up, right? It's the who is the one that caught my eye. Like you just mentioned a minute ago, the alien drops down. He goes right there. He points at him. He goes, that's the guy. When you got to practice today, it could be someone you haven't seen yet, first time at practice. It could be someone that has a complete body change, someone that just looked good. Who was the size up? Who were the 2-3 names that you walked into practice first 5 minutes, you noticed them?
I have a couple candidates, and I'm seeing now that we're creeping up to 600 people here in the Specs chat line. So let me get my thoughts my thoughts together on that, and let's hear from our good friends at Specs.
Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Oh, yes. All right. Football with Friends is fun as hell. Thank you guys so much, man. If it's your first time watching us, we're here every day, 6 p.m. Central Time. Make sure and click the show, subscribe to the channel. I think we have the Outsiders coming up a little bit later, Cody, right? I saw that in the admin. So we got Bo Edge, we have Chad Hastings, we have Chance Mock, all those dudes. So you can hear the inside stuff from those guys for sure. Let's see. So do we have a super chat? I think I just saw a super chat pop.
Got one from Catch.
From Catch?
Yep.
Oh, no, we did. Is that really good? Yeah, that's Catch. All right. Well, thank you, Catch. You'll get some of that back once YouTube takes their cut. Okay. He's saying, was Bolden lined up outside behind Cook or Bolden? So you're saying, was he lined up behind? He means Cook or
Golden.
No,
Bond.
he means Cook or
Bond.
Bond.
He means Bond.
Yeah, it was. I think Wingo is behind Jonte, and weirdly, and Bolden is second behind
Bond.
Yeah. Here's how that whole stuff goes. So here's how that all goes. Like I said, man, I got 10 pages of notes here. But so the way the wide receivers lined up, and we'll get to your question, Cody. But so this was the group, and Cody and I were having a hard time telling who was the. Cody and I were talking about it. We were having a hard time telling who was the X and who was the Z, just based on how the personnel was. I thought it was Bond, kind of at the X, because I was looking and, man, it looked like he was the one who was kind of pointing out and making sure that his foot was up on the line and everything like that. But they moved the slot from side to side, so we could never figure out who the exact flanker was because of the alignment of the tight end as it pertained to the slot.
Yeah.
So I just said, dude, my brain's jumbled right now. It's so much going on, but I can't tell you who was behind who, right? And it was consistent all through practice. So here's what it was. It was Jonte, DeAndre Moore in the slot, Isaiah Bond. And then behind Jonte, it was Ryan Wingo. Behind DeAndre Moore, it was Matthew Golden. And behind Isaiah Bond, it was Silas Bolden. And then behind Jonte and Wingo was Aaron Butler. In the slot behind DeAndre Moore and Matthew Golden was Ryan Niblett. At the other outside spot behind Isaiah Bond and Silas Bolden was Parker Livingstone. And then, as long as we're saying it, the tight ends, it was very consistent with their groupings too. A little bit of a surprise here. Gunnar Helm and then Juan Davis. Although
it's not surprise. I mean,
well, no, and then Nye Black, who looked a little bit smaller. But then Spencer Shannon seemed to be running ahead of Jordan Washington, which goes kind of against the things that we were the things we were thinking. And then behind him, I'm not sure I saw it was Will Randall even out there? I'm not even sure I saw him. I feel like I'm always asking, was Will Randall out there? I'm always asking if Freddie Dubose was out there. I've been asking that since spring. Well, like I didn't see 80 all day.
Did you say 82, right? That was the name I think you said after Jordan Washington's phone call. That's Ridge Barker. So that's a literal true freshman. So
Ridge Barker. It looks like he's from Lucas. So he played with Parker Livingstone.
There you go.
Lucas Lovejoy.
6'4", 250. So the answer was Bolden's playing behind Bond. So Alex, I guess we can go to here quick because this is something that, like, we talked about it. Who's the X, who's the Z? And if you look on the board where I wrote it all up, I kind of put it exactly how you explained it. So Cook, Wingo, Butler on one side, Bond, Bolden, Livingstone on the other side. And when you look at those body types and you look at those players, it would tell you potentially that, Jonte Wingo side may be the X side. The other side, it's like Bond, Bolden. I could see where Bond could be the X, Bolden.
But then you got Livingstone.
Then you go into Butler and Livingstone. It's like Butler behind Wingo and Cook, and Livingstone on the other side. Like, I would love to have that question asked to Chris Jackson or to Sark.
Do you know what they'll say?
And
I know exactly what they'll say.
But that's exactly what I want, though. I want we don't really call it X. We don't really call it Z. I want we're interchanging. We want these, because that's what I kind of expected. I expected this to be a fluid thing. We've talked about this in the last couple of shows, and we've talked about this in person, is that it doesn't really matter who the six guys are. Like, they're going to be moving around. And if there's no real X, like, it is what it is. I think it's interesting, though.
Yep. So I think that the guys, so you asked me the guys who's just sort of stood out. Until I went and stood next to Jermaine Lole, I was like, dude, this guy looks like an absolute monster. He's built like a tank. The transfer out of Louisville, just like a fire plug, fire hydrant type of player. The thing is, whenever he stands next to the rest of them, he is shorter than I thought he was. I don't know what he's listed at.
He's listed at 6'3".
I'm not sure that guy's 6'3", Cody.
He's listed at 6'3", 315. And you said on the call, you're like, I thought he was going to be taller than Tia Savea.
He's a tiny bit tall.
6'4", 295.
Well,
so I didn't think Tia was that tall.
Then he's probably, but dude, if Tia Savea is 6'4", I'm 6'3", tall as a tree, dude. There's no way. There's no way. Savea is not 6'4". He's just not. Anybody who's been there, like anybody who's been to pro day and stuff, they say 6'4". Are you kidding? Like Savea.
So Alex January is listed at the same height as Alfred Collins. Is that true?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Well, he's listed at 6'5".
Yeah. We have some questions in the chat. If these questions just get asked, we have to answer them. Longhorn Football Edit says he just joined the OB forums. Congratulations to you, brother. Remember too, you said you joined the forum, so I guess you kind of understand the way Orange Bloods works. I feel like we're probably going to get a bunch of signups with this because it's free. It's not one of these things where you have to where you just have to pay like half price or something, which is still really good, but it's like it's free. You can just try it. Join Orange Bloods today. A 60-day free trial with that promo code JOINOB24. And you can see my practice write-up. Anwar has a practice write-up. I have just got home. I think Jason probably has his photo gallery, a closer look.
Yep.
We're going to have coverage throughout all this stuff, recruiting coverage, a lot of big recruiting stuff going on. And even once they close practices, Anwar is always catching them. Everybody's always trying to do their best. I do my best to try and get notes from practice and stuff like that. We cover it better than anybody else. So make sure you go sign up and you go do that. Let's see. Oscar Elizondo is asking for the promo code. That Oscar, we just put the promo code up, brother. But we say welcome to all of our new members. It's a big dysfunctional family. Just remember, don't start any debates about Chris Sims versus Major Applewhite, or don't say beans belong in chili, and you should be fine there. Oh, but I was gonna say too. He said he's just. Whenever you go to Orange Bloods, you have to go to the forums and click on Inside the 40 Acres. That's where all the good stuff is. You go to forums, go to Inside the 40 Acres. Okay. Let's see.
So we were talking about the size up. You brought up Lole. I don't think that was your size up guy. I think you.
Well, no, like from a distance, he looked like it, but he was shorter than I thought.
Bill Norton, though?
Yeah. I mean, he's big. I think he's Texas' biggest defensive lineman. I don't know what he's listed at. I mean, I'll bet you. What does he weigh? I don't know. Is he
6'6",
speaking with a head cut off. Yeah, he's their biggest guy. A little bit of a, like I told you, man. A little bit of the old pony keg gut on him. It's not. I mean, he's going to be hard to move, man. Like he's going to be a hard guy to move. I do think, man. I thought when I watched Arizona, and I thought this when I was watching Savea. I remember saying, man, Savea is a whole lot better than that guy he's lined up next to. I'll tell you that much for sure. And lo and behold, Texas ends up getting that dude. Words come back to bite me with people. But even when I'm seeing him go through the drills and stuff today, I think he's a little bit slow-footed, man. Like I'm just gonna call it like I see it with him. So not him. We mentioned. Cam Williams is the winner of that thing.
Yeah,
Cam Williams always wins that thing. Ant Hill always wins that thing.
First off the bus.
Yeah. Trying to think who.
So the elephant in the room, the name we haven't mentioned, the name that really isn't on the board in any of the notes is Sydir Mitchell. He's
fourth team.
He's fourth team, but he hasn't lost any. I mean, he's not he's not back in shape or anything like that.
That guy, that guy needs to start. That guy needs to start jogging a little faster from drill to drill. I think. I think that there's some things about
it's hard to move that much weight.
I understand, but you could. I just think I'm not sure he's. I think the coaches might get a little bit. It's like, dude, all right. So today, Melvin Hill he just got the brunt end of it from Baker, kind of the same way that Sydir Mitchell got it
in spring.
Week no, like Mitchell got it back in.
It was day one of spring ball.
No, I think it was day one of fall camp last year because it was Bo. It was Coach Bo that went after Sydir.
But didn't they make Sydir run a lap on the first day of spring ball or second day of spring ball?
They're always making him do, like he's never jogging from drill to drill and stuff. Yeah, but so but like today it was like Melvin Hills was getting that treatment today from Kenny Baker. It was on the the stationary sled lunges. Yeah. Right, like where you just you got to get out. It's the hip explosion drill, and apparently this guy was like they made him do it, and he's just like he's doing a bad job, and he finally just put him to the side, made him do push-ups and stuff. And so some of these guys, it's going to take a minute for them. And PK was talking about that before. I'm just trying to think, man. Like these guys, it's just you ask me. I think if we're just talking about, Hayden Connor, like he looks trimmed down, and he looks like a better looking player. He's lost some. He's lost some fat. Looks more lean. Looks like the definitive starter to me at left guard. Like I don't think anybody's gonna push him. I did think it was interesting that Cole Hudson has moved from right guard over to left guard. Now, right? That's kind of a interesting development. Him and Neto Uzumalo have sort of switched places. But I mean. I think some of these guys, they came in looking really good in the springtime, and Cam Williams was the one that came from spring into fall, and I was just like, whoa, what?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess it has to be that.
The biggest guy on the team has to be the biggest, right? That has to be the positive. I want to stick on D-line before you go somewhere else, though. Because
yeah.
Kind of cross through every single player. Except for one that we did bring up yesterday because in PK's presser, we talked about it. It was kind of a weird thing where he was asked about the defensive line and he went directly to Aaron Bryant and then said Jure and then brought up the transfers and then said, of course, everybody knows AC, Alfred Collins, and Vernon Broughton. But remember I said Aaron Bryant was the first name that came out of his mouth. And when you kind of walk through the first, second, and third team, the first team was, of course, Alfred Collins and Vernon Broughton. But that second team playing nose was Aaron Bryant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was Aaron Bryant. They seem to they talk about him. They like him. And it's interesting because he didn't have a lick of production last year, and he played like 45 snaps during the regular season. Sydir Mitchell he only played 10 snaps last year, and he had 2 solo tackles and 1 run stuff. It's like, so for as much as we say he still looks a little bit sloppy and he doesn't look as well put together as the rest of them, whenever he walks by you, it's still like, oh my gosh, there's not one single kid on the UT campus who, when this guy walks into their class for organic chemistry or whatever, who knows what he's taking. I'm not sure he's taking, maybe he's not taking that. But when he walks into their class, they don't say, oh my God, that's probably one of the best football players on the Texas football team. You know what I mean? It's like he really is just an absolute giant and a beast. And I think maybe he's one of these guys who, he was very, very productive on a minuscule sample last year, whereas Aaron Bryant just wasn't. He didn't get any. He didn't generate he played 45 snaps. He didn't even generate an assisted tackle or a run stuff or anything. So I think for him to be working as the second nose, it says a lot. That could be something about like with the Bill Norton. Norton, Lole, these guys. I thought Lole was going to come in and probably be at nose. I think now, since he looks a whole lot like Savea, I think probably he'll play a defensive tackle. But here's the other thing about defensive tackle, Cody. Did you see the picture I just sent you?
Yeah, I'm about to pop it up.
That's Vernon Broughton. He's put on some mass in his upper body, but dude, he has the skinniest calves of any defensive tackle I've ever seen in my life. And you guys might have noticed it before, but whenever he kind of added some mass, it looks like he's put on some mass in his upper body. And I'd never noticed his calves kind of look like he's, you just compare. Wow. So he's 45. Just compare his calves to the other guys, man. Look at Norton, look at Bryant, look at especially if you compare him to Savea and Lole. I wish I would have got them in that thing, but he's got some very.
Broughton is 6'4", 305 pounds for context, and right next to him, Aaron Bryant is 6'2", 305. Bill Norton is, of course, 6'6", 330. Just for context, that's number 15.
Yeah, and you could tell that Norton's taking a pretty long stride there because he doesn't look that much taller than the others. He does when he's standing next to him.
But like no less, 53 and 45 weigh the exact same, and you can see the disbursement of the weight across the body. I mean,
yeah,
it's clear Bryant, no disrespect at all, but it's clear Bryant holds the weight better.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, well, he's just the way he's put together. It's just, to me, Broughton looks. I mean, you just wonder, like he didn't hold up versus the run at all last year, and you look at that and you're like, well, gosh, I mean. Whenever you juxtapose, T'Vondre Sweat and Byron Murphy, one of the most truly powerful players I've seen here, maybe only rivaled by, I don't know, man. Byron Murphy's probably more powerful than Malcolm Brown. I'm maybe about like Hassan Ridgeway, but just in more of a dynamite little package, right? When it just last year, when it would go from that to Broughton, you'd be like, oh my gosh, they're the way that it was going like this, and the offensive line wasn't getting any push, and now they're getting all this push, right? At least it wasn't happening with Collins. And I've been watching Vernon Broughton for 4 years now in practice, and it took, I think, him putting on all that extra weight in his upper half, right, for me to notice. It's like he's got really thin calves, and we know that it's just, as we've done our studies, and it's mainly been based around running backs we've done these studies on, but these guys that we notice to have these small calves, the Darren McFadden's of the world. This year, Marshawn Lloyd, who came out of USC and then went to the Packers. Like, these are the guys that you worry about with the lower body injuries. And we know that Marshawn Lloyd's still a rookie, but he certainly dealt with stuff at both the colleges that he was at. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting about Broughton. I don't know, man. I kind of, we'll see what happens, man. We all know that the interior defensive line is not going to be a strength, but what they're hoping is that they have the depth. And January is really big. Mitchell's really big. But I kind of think the guys that are going to be coming in and just kind of doing a lot of the heavy lifting, it's going to be the Arizona dudes, and it's going to be Lole. It's going to be Bryant's going to be mixed in there. Collins going to be mixed in there. Broughton's going to be mixed in there. It's probably going to be a little bit more of an even distribution. It's definitely going to be more of an even distribution than it was last year with the two big studs up front.
I think I got to sell the rest of my shares on the Sydir Mitchell thing. I bought a lot of shares at the end of last year. I think I got them for like $1.10. And I think I'm going to have to drop the rest of them. I think I got like
man, that'd be like selling it to like
200 shares at 10 cents right now. I just gotta dump them.
That'd be like selling off in like 2008 for the housing crisis, Cody. You just gotta wait for it to bounce. Like it'll bounce back from this, dude. Like, he's on the fourth team, man. You can't sell at fourth team.
You gotta drop the stock and try to get like 1 or 2 shares of Aaron Bryant.
Yeah, no, man. Like I said, man, whenever he walks by you, you say to yourself, if you didn't know that he just hadn't done much and he hadn't played much, and it feels like behind the scenes they say he needs to be a better practice player and worker and all this stuff like that. Sometimes, dude, here's the thing. Sometimes there are defensive linemen that are a little bit like that. Do you remember Don Tari Poe? Do you remember him coming out?
Yeah, but he was also a complete menace in the gym.
Yeah, but they said that he was a power lifter, all this stuff, but he was not a hard worker in practice. Is what they said. Like, that was the big knock on him. I'm saying sometimes these guys, they can kind of, and there was something that he got better at throughout his time in college.
I don't know if that quite equates, but I can feel it. I can feel you.
Somebody's asking about Jure Bledsoe. Is Bledsoe 94?
Yep.
So he's on the fourth team with Sydir Mitchell,
which is interesting because that's another one that, maybe it's not interesting, but that was the second name that PK brought up. And of course, this is 6 months ago, but when Sweat was leaving, he went immediately to Jure, probably more so because it's his boy, but he was like, Jure's next. And now he's on the fourth team as well.
Yeah. Let's see. I think
didn't see much out of him, I'm assuming.
I somehow lost my wedding ring at practice today. How did that happen? My wife won't be. I just looked down. I'm like, "Where's my ring?" I guess got some splaining to do about that. Sorry. Anyway, what was the question? I was just shocked.
I didn't ask a question. I just said I thought it was interesting because Jure was one that was mentioned right after Aaron Bryant from PK yesterday, and then also was one that, like, when we're asking Sweat, who's next up at Texas, he went straight to Jure. But I think that was probably more so because it's his boy.
All this stuff's going to be fluid, though, right, Cody?
Yeah.
It's going to be fluid, especially with that defensive line group as they get it figured out. I think that the one thing we talked about the most was, what about the edge guys, right? How are we going to how is this going to look? And one of my predictions, I believe it was on the modcast, right, when I was saying coming out of practice on Wednesday. What are we going to say? Like, this is the big surprise, or this is the thing you think is going to say, or something. And it was one of my big takeaways was that, dude, Trey Moore's out there with the ones now. It's like they've ripped off the Band-Aid. He's out there with the ones. When you bring in a Trey Moore and you pay him all that NIL, and he got you the 14 sacks at UTSA and all the rest of the stuff, it's like I can understand through spring ball having to kind of massage this thing and have this thing be we're not going to anoint him, right? But once you get to fall camp is when the Xavier Worthies and the Kelvin Bankses and now the Trey Moores and all these guys, they put them in with the first team, and you're just like, you look at the guys around them that might get tilted by it, that they might be starting over now, that were starters last year, like Ethan Burke or all the rest. And you look at them, you're like, dude, it's like, it is what it is. We still have, you're still going to play plenty. But it looks like Trey Moore, it's like, it wasn't like they were lining up in some sort of 3-3-5 stack where it's like he's this Sam linebacker situation. No, he was lining up as a buck end.
Got it.
Right. It was just Trey Moore was out there playing that buck end. And whenever the second group came out, it was what I've always said was going to happen, but it didn't happen during spring. Ethan Burke playing on the same side as Barron Sorrell. I've been talking. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I've been talking about this idea since January. It's just it looks like kind of that's what they're doing. I will say with Colin Simmons, the one thing about him is I was reading the notes, because we're talking about the third, because behind Trey Moore, it was Justice Finkley with that second defensive group. And I was like, why was it not Colin Simmons? I was looking at my little
I think those are happy pills. I think those are happy pills for Justin Finkley, putting him on the second team.
Yeah, man. That's it. Well, I was like, I didn't write down who the edge was for the third group. And it's like I said, man, it's a pursuit drill. It's hard. Yeah. They don't get down to the third group in during the team that we were able to see. It was just ones and twos. So, but I was like, I didn't, it's like chicken with your head cut off, man. I wasn't even sure I saw Colin Simmons. So I had to have you, as I was driving, ask Jason on Teams whether he even saw him, because Jason was there taking photos of everybody. Jason confirmed, yeah, he was there. So I'm 99% sure it was Colin Simmons running that third edge. And if he was running to that third edge, he'll be ahead of Justice Finkley by probably tomorrow.
All right, I got one final question. One final thought. We've been here for 49 minutes. We got almost 800 people in here. Please click that like button. Please click subscribe to Orange Bloods. We appreciate you guys for tapping in here. Football with Friends. One final question, Alex. We made it 49 minutes, and we've yet to talk about the running back position. Pre-practice walkthroughs, you said CJ Baxter's the first running back in, played consecutive reps. And with the second team, it was Jaden Blue and Trey Wisner splitting reps.
No. I must have that was wrong if I told you
that's an error?
Yeah. It's Jaden Blue works in with the ones with Baxter, and Wisner works with the twos.
Okay. Well, that's important. That's important because So
I'll go back and edit that in your post. That's what
I'm going to edit that right now.
I could have told you. Maybe I could have obviously. I was trying to drive and say this at the same time, Cody. So it's like I probably told you that, man.
All right, I'm editing it right now. But my question was more so was you've been to going to these practices for however long now. In the context of day one, pre-practice team walkthroughs, how heavy do you weigh, the rep usage in that scenario?
I mean, those walkthroughs are important. Like, Cody, half the time, whenever we don't get like as long a practice as we do today, you rely on those pre-practice walkthroughs for a lot of the context that you're putting together for the small portion of practice that you're able to see, right? You can put that together. You can put that in together with the passing tree stuff with the wide receivers and say, okay, well during walkthroughs they were in this group with that guy and they're in the same line right now, right? So I know you can put these things together because you don't get to see team drills. And so I guess what I've noticed in the past is it does happen to align really well. There were some other interesting things that were happening there as well. Like when the second group, when the second group goes to 12 personnel, here's an interesting thing. So when the second group goes to 12 personnel, they do this thing wherever it's like Silas Bolden is still, I guess he's still technically an outside receiver, but his alignment kind of looks like a slot receiver, if that makes sense, right? It's like they're both the receivers are to one side, and Silas kind of looks like a slot wide receiver, which gave me the idea during the pre-practice walkthroughs. I was like, wait, so is this right? So Bolden's in the slot, huh? It's right. But then I learned during the receiving drills, right, during the passing tree drills, that Bolden was never really in the slot. But in that, I'm just saying it could be tricky, and you have to understand the nuances of it, right? It can be tricky because I could have looked at that and Silas Bolden, as far as your eyes tells you, right? There's Ryan Wingo outside and Bolden's in the slot, right? Unless you were to realize that this is in 12 personnel and the slot wide receiver has been taken out of here and Bolden just looks like he's in the slot. So you can get tricked if you don't understand the context of what's happening. But I do think when it's like it's kind of symbolic, man. First day of practice, first walkthrough, first everything. CJ Baxter's the first one in. They walk through some stuff. He gets hand off. They walk through it. They do something. Jaden Blue comes in 2-3 snaps later. They throw him a little dump off pass, right? It's almost like they're kind of just feeding the exact narrative that these guys are thinking, that they're going to be some kind of thunder and lightning duo that are both sort of first team. And then when the second team, you see it's all Trey Wisner, not one of these guys rotating in, not one of the top two rotating in. I think it helps them to understand that, these guys, Cody, and here's the other thing. I've played, we've all played. Nobody needs to, you figure out where you are on the depth chart pretty quick. No one has to tell you, right? The coaches tell you by the way that they act, by the way that you're utilized, and by the groups that you're running with. They were telling the running backs today that they're going to be using them in a committee and a platoon, and those are the top two guys for sure.
I got a couple of pictures from our guy Jason, who posted about 50 of them, it looks like, up over at Orange Blood. So you got to go over to Orange Bloods, obviously right there. You can click that QR code, join OB24, get a 60-day free trial. But here's a couple of pictures.
It's free for 60 days. There's Sydir.
There's Sydir.
There's Jay Wash and Helm.
Jay Wash. I can't find one of Colin Simmons. That was my goal. My goal was to pull one up here of Colin Simmons.
I need proof of life. Yeah,
that's kind of what my goal was there. But anyway,
find me one of Freddie Dubose Jr., please.
Why did you not see him?
I never see him.
I got one of Wingo. I got some Silas Bolden.
Hey, how about that, dude? We've come full circle, man. The Cam Williams of wide receivers is Ryan Wingo. I'm not saying he lost a bunch of weight. I'm just saying that's your future draft pick guy. I mean, he's incredible, man. And you talk about these one-on-ones. We look at these one-on-ones, and did he lose a one-on-one? I'm not sure he did, dude. I see him here. These notes are all jumbled now, but let's see. Oh, here.
I'll go to the bottom of the post. Who are you talking about?
Wingo.
I don't think Wingo lost the rep. Wingo he burns Kobe Black deep, and then he beats Kobe Black again. That was the 2 reps that you gave me.
Kobe Black's not an easy guy to burn, man.
No, but that's also who he beat in that's a good head up. These two freshmen are going against each other every day. That's who he beat in the spring game, if you remember.
We have 800 people watching right now, Cody. 800 people watching. And apparently they're telling us that we need to get our likes up.
We do.
Are the likes not 8? We don't have 800 likes yet.
There's not 800 likes, so that's a failure on our
Come
part.
on, guys, if you could please like the show, subscribe to the channel, we would certainly appreciate that, and we appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Of course, Football with Friends, we're here every day, 6 to 7 p.m. Thanks to everybody for being here. Remember, join OB24, 60 days for free. Get all of our content; it's all for free. It's no fuss, no muss. You're not going to cancel, but if you want to, you just cancel after the 60 days. Yeah, super
You
easy.
won't want to. I promise you that. You won't want to.
You're not going to.
Years ago, 21 years ago, and you haven't left yet?
Jeez, has it been that? That makes me feel old, Cody. But yeah, I've been on that side a long time, man. Been through some big ups and big downs since Ryan Paralou's recruitment in 2003. So make sure and go check it out. Make sure and go check out our good friends at Texas Beef Traders. Tell them that we sent you. Get that 10% off, and make sure and go see our friends over at Specs, as I do probably more often than I reasonably should. But I love Specs, and I do indeed love tequila. I also love to eat dinner. I love tequila. I love it all. I love all you guys. Cody, anything final you want to say, or you want to get out of here?
Nothing final. I just I want to go get these beef ribs off the smoker. That's
go get them off the smoker. All right. Thank you to the chat. Thank you to Texas Beef Traders. Thank you to Specs.